Welcome to Ag Shorts. I'm Calen. He's Brandon. Today we're going to talk about rural job losses with the crash of the cattle market the last couple of years. What's the impact on places like rural Montana, even Wyoming, the Dakotas, how that impacts families and what that has resulted in for the rural communities.
Um, it's I think it's like a death by a thousand cuts.
Yeah.
You may not notice right off, or you may not notice a few, people that are either lose a job or, what you normally see is your local businesses not having as much business as they had. Like for us, last year or so, we haven't purchased fencing material. Price is outrageous, and our cattle prices are down. So that's something that we'll just keep patching fence until things turn around, and then we can go ahead and start buying new again. So there's several stores that you buy from with just fencing materials. You're not doing that. Maybe people aren't going out to eat. Restaurants aren't as filled. Bars might not be as filled, or they might be. Sometimes hard times. Uh, my grandpa always said that churches and bars did best in tough times, and maybe there's something to that. But a little bit of less business everywhere. You may not see it immediately, but over some time, pretty soon doors close, people leave. They can't, people who live off of tips, for instance, when they have a service industry like that, um, that's their mainstay. And if you have less customers coming in and they're spending less money, that's less money in their pocket, and that spreads across everything from feed stores to restaurants, tire stores. People buy used tires maybe, or they just don't replace tires when they should. Um, it just covers the entire spectrum. Clothing stores, you know, um, Christmas time, not as many gifts are getting bought. And that's usually for a lot of retailers. That's a huge time of the year where most of their money is made, between Thanksgiving and Christmas,
Right.
that month in there. So you don't see that quite so much. And maybe in the urban areas, especially, you don't see it because there's so many people. But in agricultural, rural areas, those small stores depend on the people right there.
Well, and towns become more of ghost towns too because people lose their jobs
Right.
or they're not able to be employed. So then they have to move closer to the bigger towns. Like here would be Billings, Bozeman, Butte, or Missoula, things like that. And then you won't see them in the rural communities anymore. And the small towns that are out there already that are known to be small towns continue to get smaller and smaller and smaller. And people tend to magnetize more towards the bigger towns because that's where they can find at least somewhere to get employed as well.
Yeah, it's always about keeping your belly full as much as you can. And movement starts to move, not necessarily for a reason to someplace, but it's away from someplace because they have to.
So as you keep going through the dive of the cattle market, you're going to continue to see less people in smaller communities. So you're going to lose community, and then you're going to start having more people in the bigger cities. So you're actually going to gain larger populations in those nodes. There's going to be less spending, which means there will be probably more and more people going out of business, and it's just like Dad said, a death by a thousand cuts and a big circle that just keeps feeding itself.